Collective God, remove them because you would have settled. You didn't lose them. God took them because you would have stayed too long and settled for less than your worth. Wheel of Fortune. Everything changed overnight, no warning, no explanation. Just a shift so divine you couldn't stop it if you tried. That was spirit stepping in because you kept ignoring the signs. Death upright. You called it heartbreak, but it was really a rescue. Spirit ended what you were too loyal to release. They saw how you were dimming your light, how you were negotiating your value, so they cut the cord clean to save you from your own softness. Ace of Pentacles. Now you're being aligned with something real, stable, anointed, but you can't receive what's next. If you're still romanticizing what was never meant to last, that removal was the beginning of your rebirth. Say thank you, universe, in the comments. If this hit, because that wasn't rejection, it was your redirection. God removed them because you would have settled Aries. You wanted passion. You wanted partnership, but not like that. Not with someone who only met you halfway. Wheel of Fortune, Spirit switched the channel without your permission. You thought it was miscommunication, but it was divine intervention. That connection was blocking your glow. So the universe hit reset and turned the page for you to death. You were willing to ride it out, fix it, force it, but spirit said no. Not this time. You kept choosing them while they kept choosing comfort. So the cycle had to end before you lost yourself in it. Ace of Pentacles. Now something solid is trying to come in, something built on mutual energy, but it can't reach you if you're still grieving what spirit already buried. This was your upgrade in disguise. That ended made room for your becoming. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit. Because what felt like a loss was really your level up in motion. God removed them because you would have settled. Taurus, you were loyal. You were steady. You were down to ride it out, but spirit saw you settling for breadcrumbs when you deserved the whole feast. Wheel of Fortune. The shift came fast one moment. It felt safe the next. It was gone, but that was divine order. Spirit couldn't let you build a forever. On shaky ground and broken promises, death. You would have stayed held on tighter, made excuses for their distance, but spirit cut the cord you kept tying back together because comfort isn't the same as connection, and you were sacrificing your soul for consistency. Ace of Pentacles. Now there's something real forming in the background, but you can't water new blessings with tears from old pain. That door closed so the real one could open. And this one doesn't come with confusion attached. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because God didn't take them to hurt you. He took them to heal you. You said God removed them because you would have settled. Gemini. You saw the red flags, but you also saw their potential. You stayed hoping they'd grow, but spirit saw that you were shrinking. Wheel of Fortune. Things flipped with no warning. One moment it felt like fate. The next it was silence, but that shift wasn't chaos. It was clarity. The universe rerouted you before you could get stuck in a cycle that couldn't sustain you. Death. You tried to adapt, tried to explain yourself into being understood, but spirit stepped in because they weren't listening and you were starting to forget your own voice. This ending wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. Ace of Pentacles. Now there's something new forming, something grounded, clear, and mutual, but you gotta stop reminiscing about what never matched your frequency. Spirit cleared it out so you could finally receive something real. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because that goodbye wasn't the end. It was the beginning of better. God removed them because you would have settled Cancer. You gave your all, loved them past their limits, but spirit saw the silent suffering, the one behind your smile. Wheel of Fortune. One sudden turn and they were gone. No closure, no reason, but it was divine protection. That exit wasn't random. It was spirit snatching you out before the damage became permanent. Death. You would have stayed loyal to your own heartbreak, tried to fix what was never yours to carry, but spirit couldn't watch you keep losing yourself, so they ended it for you. Clean, final, and necessary. Ace of Pentacles. Now, real love is knocking solid and reciprocal, but it can't walk in while you're still mourning what only took from you. Spirit cleared the space so you could receive the love you never had to beg for. Say thank you. Universe in the comments if this hit, because what broke you was also what freed you. God removed them because you would have settled. Leo, you were shining but dimming your light to keep them comfortable. Spirit couldn't let that go on. So they shut it down. Wheel of Fortune out of nowhere. The vibe changed. The energy shifted. Spirit wasn't about to let you keep auditioning for a role you already outgrew. That door closed because your soul had other plans. Death. You didn't see it coming, but deep down you felt it brewing. Spirit ended it because you were sacrificing joy just to feel chosen. You deserve more. And they couldn't give it. Ace of Pentacles. Now something golden is trying to enter, something that mirrors your worth. But Spirit had to make space, had to remove what was never solid so the foundation could finally be stable. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because letting them go was how you return to yourself. God removed them because you would have settled. Virgo, you kept showing up, solving problems you didn't create, loving them past their immaturity, but Spirit said, enough. Wheel of Fortune, it changed quickly, but not without purpose. You weren't being punished. You were being protected because you would have stayed trying long after they stopped deserving it. Death Spirit had to do what you wouldn't. Cut the cord, block the cycle, and return you to your own healing. You would have settled for the idea while ignoring the reality. So Spirit ended the fantasy. Ace of Pentacles. Now something real is being rooted, but it needs a clean slate. Not an apology you never got. Let them go so you can receive the future that fits. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because the ending was actually your beginning. God removed them because you would have settled. Libra. You kept the peace, ignored your needs, and called it love, but Spirit called it self-betrayal. Wheel of Fortune. Things turned fast. What looked like connection was really confusion. Spirit saw you choosing balance in the place that kept tipping you over, so they stepped in and stopped it for good. Death. You wanted partnership, but not like this. You were losing sleep, losing self. Spirit said they had to go because you were negotiating your worth for their presence. Ace of Pentacles. Now something solid is forming, built on truth, mutual effort, and real emotional safety. But first, you have to stop waiting on the one Spirit already removed. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because peace wasn't possible with them, but it's promised with what's next. God removed them because you would have settled. Scorpio, you felt the shift, but stayed anyway. Tried to transmute the pain, tried to love them into healing, but Spirit saw you bleeding. Wheel of Fortune. That chapter ended suddenly, not because you failed, but because Spirit saw what you couldn't. You were pouring from an empty cup in a one-sided soul tie, and they had to break it. Death, you were addicted to the potential, but not the reality. You saw depth, they gave you confusion. Spirit stepped in to stop you from drowning in a love that didn't hold you. Ace of Pentacles. Now something true is trying to root. Not chaos, not survival, but safety. But you have to release what Spirit buried so you can rise with what's meant. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because that ending was the spiritual reset you needed. God removed them because you would have settled. Sagittarius. You saw the best in them, believed in who they could become, but Spirit saw who they were and they knew it wasn't enough for you. Wheel of Fortune. Things changed overnight, a fast exit, a sudden shift. But Spirit wasn't being cruel. They were saving you from a future that didn't fit your freedom. Death, you were starting to shrink. Play small, trade your fire for familiarity. But Spirit lit the match, burned the bond, and freed you before you forgot who you were. Ace of Pentacles. Now there's a new path forming, one that expands you. loves you fully without conditions, but it needs you present, not stuck in the past. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because the loss was actually your liberation. God removed them because you would have settled. Capricorn, you were ready to build, to commit, to grow something real, but Spirit saw the cracks in their foundation and pulled you out. Wheel of Fortune. It felt sudden, but the signs were always there. Spirit gave you warnings, but you kept trying to make it work. So they shut it down completely because you deserved more than survival, love, death. You were carrying the whole connection, managing the weight alone. But Spirit saw the burnout coming. They ended it so you wouldn't lose yourself in another dead end project. Ace of Pentacles. Now there's something rooted and worthy ahead. A real investment, mutual work, lasting value, but you had to be empty first. So Spirit cleared what wasn't stable. Say thank you, universe, in the comments if this hit, because they weren't your future. They were your final lesson. God removed them because you would have settled, Aquarius. You wanted a bond with depth but kept getting distance. You stayed hoping they'd catch up, but Spirit saw the gap widening. Wheel of Fortune, out of nowhere, things flipped and you were left in silence, but that wasn't abandonment. It was Spirit stepping in to break the illusion before it broke you. Death, you were detaching quietly, but still hoping they'd come around. Spirit knew you'd keep waiting, so they ended it to stop you from settling for someone who only loved parts of you. Ace of Pentacles. Now you're being aligned with truth, with someone who gets it, all of it, but at first you have to stop watering the past. So this new blessing can bloom. Say thank you. Universe, in the comments if this hit, because they were a detour, not your destination. God removed them because you would have settled, Pisces. You loved deeply, unconditionally, even when it hurt. But Spirit saw how much of yourself you were giving away. Wheel of Fortune. It ended without warning, one shift, and they were gone, but that wasn't rejection. That was divine timing. Spirit pulled you off that path before you forgot your own magic death. You were hoping they'd change, that love would wake them up, but you kept pouring and they kept draining. Spirit ended it so you could finally choose yourself. Ace of Pentacles. Now there's a new beginning forming. Real reciprocal, rooted in emotional truth. But to claim it, you have to release the fantasy you built around someone who was never ready. Say thank you, universe, in comments if this hit, because God didn't take them to punish you. He took them to protect your purpose.